Hey, welcome to our Monday afternoon. You're getting a completely different view than what you normally get. You're looking at my hallway right now where I am in the midst of a huge project getting ready for a great big demonstrator event that I'm actually running next Saturday. So I have all kinds of display boards that we're trying to get ready. And what we do is because it's a demonstrator event, so we each pick a bundle. So a die set and stamp set, or a punch and a stamp set, and then we make display boards, and then we do demonstrations and show people what we liked about the product, why we decided to buy the product, and any little tips and tricks that we learned along the way. So I'm actually going to show you one of the projects right now. So go ahead and say hi in the comments. This is recorded, but I will be coming back and looking and seeing who said hi to me, and I will answer any questions that you have along the way. And by the way, yeah, we can have guests go to these events. Now you can't come to this one because it's too close and everybody's already got their numbers cut for the projects that they're doing. But we do this 4 times a year, so October is when we've got our next event. Now, our October event is a little bit too close to Halloween, so I'm including some Halloween projects in this one. So I decided to use this Bewitching set. So super cute. I love this with the hats and the shoes. Over the years, I've seen so many cute projects done with these things. And so that's what I wanted to concentrate on today. And what I will tell people at the event when I'm doing my presentation on this, I will tell people that I looked at it and I focused on the images and I bought it and I started working on it, and then I went, wait a minute, there's no sentiments in here. So I actually have to go back and pull out some old stamp sets that have some Halloween sentiments in them, and I actually might buy one of the new stamp sets that's got some Halloween sentiments. I have been working all weekend and this place is an absolute mess. So let me see if I can get myself a little bit arranged on here. I want to use all 3 hats on here. So let's see, let me pull out some papers to start with. Actually, we're going to start with this. So this is going to be on a black card base. This, I hope it's showing up on the camera. Can you see the sparkle in this paper? I think you can see the shimmer if you look up in this area here. This is actually shimmery white cardstock. Now I pulled this out because I'm going to do a spooky watercolor background for my card. And of course it has to dry before I can put the card together. But the shimmery cardstock, whatever's in here to add those little reflective bits in it, it actually stands up pretty well to water for watercoloring. I need to protect my surface, so I brought in the silicone craft mat, and I'm going to work on that. Colors will spread more nicely if you get your paper wet to start with. So I pulled in my spritzer. Get this out of the way, don't need that yet. And then I'm going to spread it with the wide brush. Stampin' Up! Sells this set of 3 water painters. I love them. I love them because they've got the water in them, and I don't have a cup sitting here that's getting wet and messy all the time. So I'm just going to do a swish with my color, but I want to get my paper wet to start with. So let me start with that. And I'm being fairly generous because this paper can actually handle the water. We're going to go a really bright, this is a bright green, but it can also be a spooky green. So we're going with this one, which is Parakeet Parade. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it because I just want this to be really wet and bleed. So see how it runs? Okay, this needs to dry, and for the sake of filming, I'm actually going to bring my heat gun in and heat it a little bit. All right, this is mostly dry, but we're just going to let that sit while I do the hats. We've got this spooky, cute hat with the spider webs. We've got a nice, pretty little polka dot one here, and then we've got one with a buckle. This one, I'm going to stamp it on black paper and silver emboss. Leave a comment. How do you store your embossing powders? I like to keep mine in a tray because then I can sprinkle right over the tray and catch all the strays, and I don't have a mess to clean up afterwards. All right, here's my black paper. Here's my stamp. This one, I'm going to just use Versamark. This is a gooey, sticky ink, and this will be enough stick to hold the powder on. Before you stamp, you don't want the powder to stick any place where greasy thumbprints, oils from your hand have gotten on the paper. So it's always a good idea to dust it with a little, they call this an embossing buddy. And we actually sell this now. It's in the new catalog. I'm so excited. I'll show you that in the catalog just a minute. Okay, so Versamark, and then sprinkle. And I'm going to show you here something that happened, which is a non-issue for this project, but might be an issue for other projects. See that shadow that's all the way around? That's because this is a red rubber stamp. And so when you squish it really hard in a soft foam pad like you have on here, you tend to catch the outside edges of that red rubber stamp. It doesn't happen with the photopolymer stamps, but it happens to me all the time with the red rubber stamps. Doesn't matter on this one because this is going to be punched out and you won't see that extra line anyway. All right, let me heat emboss this. So here's my punch. And you can see that it's going to punch out the hat, the band, and 3 stars. So technically, I wouldn't even need to stamp the hat because I could just punch it out and then layer some maybe gold foil or pretty purple band or something going across it. But I am choosing to stamp the 3 different hats for this card. All right, so there's my first hat. And they're going to be stacked on top of each other, so that you're not going to see the points of all 3 because there's not enough room on here. These are big hats. I've been playing around making lots of samples on this, but I've got my Stamparatus set up and ready to go for the other 2 hats. So we're going to do one Stampin' in Black up here. Do you do anything where you dress up for Halloween? I think one of my favorite things is to wear like a great big spooky Halloween witch's hat and then dress it up with all kinds of flowers. Let's see, I need to make my piece smaller than that because that punch is going to come in from the bottom brim of the hat. There we go. See, I did that again, caught the edge of that red rubber stamp. This is why I love my Stamparatus though, because on these great big solid images, I don't know if you can tell in the video here, but sometimes they just don't catch the ink really well. And so that way I can just keep re-stamping until I get something that I'm really happy with. All right, now I'm going to bring this down here and we will do the other one, same thing. I'm going to hold it with a magnet in case I don't get good coverage. And we're going to do the one with the little spots on it. These are such adorable hats. I love them. Oops, that was a test. Awesome. You can just make some gorgeous fashion statements with this. Okay, here's a trick. How many of you, hands raised, keep like a whole package of Post-it notes in your stamp area? See, I'm just using it as a handle because now it was too small for me to hold. But the Post-it note will let me position it in my stamp, or my punch. There's hat number 2. And here comes hat number 3. Now the bonus is, I've got all these little white extra bands laying around, but look at this. I got 3 stars from that one. I got 3 stars from this one. My desk is covered in little stars. So I'm going to have to make some kind of project with all those stars too. All right. So I think this one's probably going on the bottom. And this one will go stacked up on here. And this one is going to get stacked up on here. That's the plan. We're going to go with something like this. But I need to decorate them first. So first thing that's going to happen, bring out some scrap silver. And we're going to get a silver band for this one right here. Isn't that awesome? I love the silver embossing. And then the silver band. And this one just has some really fun sparkle. Super. Love it. Actually, probably just needs one little rhinestone, don't you think? Ooh, one medium-sized rhinestone. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That was exactly what that needed. Isn't that cute? Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, now for these two. This one, I think we're going to pull in the color from the background on this. I always want to close these things up nice and tight because with the alcohol, if you leave them cracked at all or leave them open, that alcohol is just going to evaporate and then your marker will get dry. Okay, here is something fun. This is the fine tip glue pen, which Stampin' Up! Used to sell a while ago, and now it's back. I'm so excited. But I'm going to take this fine tip glue pen, and I'm just going over the buckle so we get some shine on that. Boy, with the color I chose, now I'm starting to think about leprechauns, too. Wrong holiday. Oh, I should have shown you what I did on that. So actually, you know, if you've got this fine tip glue pen, it comes apart two different ways. I don't know why they make it do this. So sometimes when I take it apart, it just comes apart like that. But then the thing is, it's always hard to get this little pin right back into the hole. So I always put one finger behind it, and then it takes me a minute to stare at it until I get it all lined up so that it goes right in there. Okay, so look at this. Look at this. Isn't this cool? Look at how sparkly and awesome that is with that fine tip glue. Now that needs to dry, so we're going to set this off someplace out of camera, but just up there. It's not the magic of television. I actually have to wait for this to dry, so that has to not get bumped while I do things. Okay, now let's work on this and make this like super, super pretty. Okay, this is one of the new in colors. The parakeet is a new in color, and the sorbet is a new in color. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come back and color all the spots with the light, because remember that the blends come in a light and a dark. And then I'm going to kind of treat the band with both colors. And then we're going to make it even prettier. Okay, so now I'm going to come back and just do the band with the light, but then we're going to come back over it in that middle region and add a little dark swatch to the middle. All right, get my point right in the middle, close it. I hope that's showing up on camera. So that middle one is definitely darker. So now it kind of looks like coordinated stripes. And of course, I should have made mention, I stamped this in Memento. And when you're coloring with alcohol markers, you definitely want to make sure you're using Memento ink, not StazOn, because the StazOn can damage the tips of the alcohol markers. All right, we are making a fashion statement here today. So I'm going to bring in another punch. This is the, what is this one? This is called Flowers and Leaves. Well, there you go. It's got flowers and leaves on it. All right, so I'm bringing in the Sweet Sorbet for the color for the flowers. For the leaves, it's a little bit darker than the parakeet. This is Granny Apple Green because I wanted a little bit of a contrast. I did try this once before. I came on camera and it kind of got lost when I used the same color for the leaves as I did for that background. All right, I'm going to layer up my flower. So I'm going to use my bone folder here and give it some dimension because we're making a fashion statement here. So this has to be all awesome and just like really fancy. So we'll give these dimension to some of these flower petals. And then we'll hold the two of them together with a glue dot. These guys are sticky. I feel like they're stickier. There's like a, it's new. If you've got the old ones, the glue dots are on the outside. On this one, the glue dots are on the inside, and I just feel like I don't know, I feel like they're stickier. Okay, so now I've got my petals offset and layered. Now let's get some leaves. We got a little one and a big one, and I think because I'm layering this and it's going to stick out from underneath, I'm just going to use the big leaf. Not with a glue dot though. Let's come back and use my tape. There we go. So we'll put a little bit here. Isn't that pretty? I think you can see where this is going. This is just going to be so awesome when we add this to the hat. Isn't that cool? So fun. So fun. Now, before I finish up and commit to making a vertical stack, I'm going to see what it's going to look like horizontally if I decided to do it that way. Because this is another option. You could do something like that. Actually, I kind of like that. I think I'm going to go horizontal on this one. That is the fun of being creative and the fun for you guys when you can watch me do it live. I'm going to tie the three of them together by putting, it's kind of like, you know, when you go out to a fancy dinner and there's like a placemat there and all of your dishes are on your placemat. That's kind of what putting a layer on a card does, is it just identifies things that belong together. So I'm just going to use a little bit of ribbon here, and that gorgeous sparkle mesh ribbon. I'm going to put a little bit of this on here and then put my hats on that, and then it will look like they're all they're part of the same thing. Okay. Now, the cool thing about ribbon is extremely forgiving. I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the back, and that should be enough to hold it. It's going to buckle on the front because this paper still wants to bend. But then once I glue the hats down, because, oh, I didn't get any adhesive on there. Oh, it's because I'm out. That's all right. You guys get to watch me change it up on camera. Super easy to change. Little pokey things go in the holes. Pop the two sides together. Just give it a little bit of a pull to start it. Oops, sticky. There we go. Good to go. Okay, so that's what my hats are going to be on then. This one's going to be like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, this was not planned ahead of time. I'm just playing around because I want to see how this is going to look. Remember, what I'm doing is I'm making a bunch of samples to show at my demonstrator event. So I wonder how this would look. You guys can tell me, do you like it with this ribbon or not? What if I put the hats here? Oh, now I'm all excited for Halloween. How about you? And put maybe a little bow hanging from there. I don't know. Ribbon is extremely forgiving. I'm going to try it. If I don't like it, I can just take it off. And you're sitting here wondering whether this is dry. And the answer is, well, it's kind of tacky. It's not perfect. I wouldn't put it in an envelope yet, but it's pretty close to being dry. Ah, this is nice. This is very nice. Do I have room for a bow? Maybe. Let's see what it looks like. Nope, I don't like that. But I might like it way over here. Kind of like a capital letter at the beginning of a sentence. Okay, let's put this on a card. It'll be a lot easier to manipulate once that green base is all glued down. So this is going to get a little bit more adhesive than I might put on a normal project, just because that paper still has a little bit of curvature in it from when it was wet. And remember, this is the Shimmery cardstock. Oh, don't you love that contrast? Perfect for Halloween, right? Okay, so I'm back from the back side, push it all down. Now let's get some layering going here with these guys. What do you think? High fashion, right? Okay, so 3 big ones. 1, 2, just because I like the balance of not having things squish. And then we'll put 1 little one up in the tail end of the hat. And by little one, I mean I cut them in half. So half of a big one. Oh, apparently that's 2. And it won't make any difference, but there's my Post-it note. I guess I'll take that off. The Post-it note that I used when I put it in the punch. Okay, now the moment of truth. Is it dark enough? Is it dry enough to turn it over? I think I'll just put these on in the air so I'm not pushing down on my paper. Sounds smart? Oh, and I got my Post-it note here too. Okay. I might not want that bow on there anyway. All right, I decided that bow was in the way. Okay, now we need to put our flower on the hat. And this I'm going to use liquid glue on just because the leaves are not held on real tightly. I didn't use a lot of glue to hold the leaves onto the flower. And so I figured it would be better to add a lot of glue to the flower itself. And I'm glad that I went back and used the darker green for the leaves because that sets it off from that watercolor wash background. And now I've got room for a sentiment down in here. Oh, and something for the center of the flower. All right, this is a spooky Halloween card, so we need to have a black center to our flower. Whoops, I want to use the small end. So I want to use the small end, not the brush end. I want to use a small end here because what I've found is that these rhinestones, sometimes they have a sharp enough edge to them that they kind of poke and damage the tips of the brush end. So I like to use the harder pencil end. So like I said, this stamp set does not have a Halloween sentiment, doesn't have any sentiments in it, and I didn't buy a new one. I don't have a current one that has a Halloween sentiment, so I'm just going to go back and find a Halloween sentiment from years gone by. I like the scrollies on this one, fun little spooky looking H down there. And it will fit quite nicely on my small oval. So there is our finished card fashion statement with 3 gorgeous, drop-dead gorgeous spooky witches hats from the Bewitching stamp set, which has no sentiments, and the coordinating punch that punches out the hat, the band, and some stars. So hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm sorry that I wasn't here with you live, but as you're watching this, I am busy with a couple of helpers at my house, and we are getting things cut and packaged and ready for our event. Like I said, it's a demonstrator event, really light on the demonstrator, salesy, businessy kind of stuff, and very heavy on knowing your product. So each of us that presents chooses a product, tells the group why we decided to buy it, what we liked about it, now that we've used it, what have we noticed good, what have we noticed that we would want to tell customers to be careful about, and then show off just a whole bunch of different ideas so that we can all leave with ideas for ourselves, for our own stamping, and to do with events for the customers. And yeah, it's how we support ourselves, besides which they are an awesome, talented group of ladies. So wait until after this weekend. You're going to start seeing lots of pictures of the projects that we've made. Hey, catch you next week. Talk to you later. Bye.